Let's do the roll call first. How are things fitness-wise?
Really good. Really good. I think I've got. There's only Ryan. He was out on the grass yesterday, Ryan Delaney, but looks like he's passed his test and he might be joining in today. But everybody else is fit. Billy Bowden's back. Prince is back. Ryan Tafazoli's back. So get in.
How sharp is Ryan looking at this point? Tafazoli, that is.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it as sharpness with him. He's so big, he's so strong. He looks like he's played the way he plays all his life, but he feels an awful lot better about himself. So, and that's what matters. So it's amazing what a good training week can do for you. So I've got some choices to make, haven't I? Which is good.
And how important are his kind of aerial stats? Because I think when we've looked at them, he does kind of dominate aerial duels at least.
It's different skill sets, and you need all different types. And we had a very late goal in last week that was our own fault. Was it an aerial duel? Possibly. We had the ball, and we tried to rush a free kick. We didn't have, so there was a lot wrong with that goal. But yeah, we're coming up against a team that your normal stats are 75% of goals are scored, and goals for you should have 1/3 of your goals should be set plays. Theirs is half. So they've got all sorts, and funnily enough, they let in half as well. So it's all going to be about your restarts against these. They're a very good team, fantastically well managed, real good talent, and they're all big, and that's a huge part of their game plan. So we've got to be up for it. I thought we were up for last week, but they outplayed us in the first half. They scored 2 goals, forced 2 goals against us, and we came back brilliantly. Unfortunately, we let a goal in at the end. Well done to them. They kept going, but we could have won it with Danny Butterworth's effort. Great save from their goalie. So I was more than pleased with our performance. What we got to do is go out and do it again against this lot. And literally, I have a squad that's full of all different types of talent, all different skill sets, and I got to try and pick the right one to do that, because you won't win every game of the season with the same team doing the same thing. You won't. Not in this league, you won't. And I challenge anybody to do that. Nobody's good enough to do that. So that's why we've got a squad. That's why it's all about them becoming that and accepting things the right way, and then moving forward and being vocal enough. I thought they beat us on one thing last week, which was talking and organising each other, which is disappointing for me. Obviously, you could tell I've talked about that. But it's more about the feeling you all get, and where you are and what you want, and how you feel about each other. So that's what I've been working on this week, and we've been training. And it's great to have a full set. So I've been scratching my head. I've got loads of splinters.
Was that an area where you missed Tom Nichols a little bit last week? The kind of communication and that talking, because you've kind of talked about the presidency.
Yeah, well, I had Ollie Clark in there, didn't I? You know, so it's all about what you need. But we knew what they were going to do, and you know, I didn't expect someone to run forward when we haven't got the ball as well as we should have done. But that's learning. You know, Snowy ran forward, and he knows that he shouldn't have done, but we didn't have the ball secure. It looked like we would. So, you know, it's a very, very fine margins, isn't it? You know? And we won the first header for the first goal, and it dropped, and then they put it back in, and we were out of position for that one. We actually twisted out of position for his first volley, but let's face it, what a fantastic volley. So my players are good enough to do that. Unfortunately, on the day, they managed to do that one more time than we did. But I was really pleased with our performance, particularly second half coming back into it. So that was that. Let's see what we can do this week.
And just talking about the kind of restarts you mentioned with Bromley there. Do you feel that's something that's got more emphasis back in the game kind of recently? Because there did seem to be a sort of swing to more kind of the focus being on playing it out from the back, and now I think you see more teams with long throws and so on.
Yeah, it's, I remember some of my friends who aren't managing now getting vilified for it. Tony Pulis. And what a shock, Arsenal use it now. Arsene Wenger used to moan about it's wrong, and Stoke used to beat Arsenal all the time. You have to deal with whatever is there, and football is very much like fashion. It goes round and comes round and goes round, and if you look at what people are wearing these days, these baggy tracksuits and great big trousers, and I've had them years ago. I wish I kept it all. It's forever evolving, and what you got to do is be able to evolve yourself and change, and particularly in the middle of a game, you might need to switch formation, shape. That's why you need to get your instructions very, very clear. There is tactics and there is principles of play, and as long as you straighten those out and you make sure your lads understand your principles of play, that we never change them, not ever. Not ever your principle of play, you know. You must make 2 angles for everybody where that ball's going to. That is the biggest one that I ever work on. 2, you must. So you have to have a football brain. And all my players have got that. Can they all win a header? Are they all aggressive in the air? Are they all aggressive? No. But there's ways of being brave. Aggression is a bravery, but wanting a ball in any situation is also a bravery, a brave thing to have. So, you know, I've also got to look at that. Last year I was struggling to, when we had any injuries, to actually rest anyone, or, you know, Will played every single minute of every single game. That can't be right. That squad is like that isn't right. You shouldn't have to do that. Whereas I miss Tom Nichols, but Tom came on and made a big difference in the last game. So, you know, it's all about how that person takes that, him not starting. I felt I was right to not start because how well that team did and how well we finished. We were 1-1 when I made the changes. Up went Ollie Palmer. I thought I needed Ollie Palmer in last week's game, but we didn't flow. It didn't. So, you know, but what we did at half-time made a difference, and we changed, and that's what you have to be able to do. And if you look at last year, how many times were we leading going into the last 10 minutes? Not many. So you have to be able to adapt and adjust and keep going. And it's all about your character at the end of the day. And if you listen to Roy Keane about Man United, where he sees them now, what does he talk about? What annoys him more than anything? Is it the level of players they've got, or is it the lack of character? And he's played for a team that has to win every week. And I want us to feel that way. We're Swindon Town. We're a big club in this division. So let's see what we can do. Can we aspire to do that with whoever we've got? And this will be a big test for them, not for me. It's easy for me. I go, whoa, hang on a minute. How many? If I was struggling to have anyone who's 6'2" or 6'3" who can win a header, I'd be like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? If we were all 5'8", I'd be worried, but I'm not worried about this. What I'm concerned about is that the lads don't get a problem with the fact we've got all of these skill sets in the building. Let's just go and use them and make sure we do that right and keep going, and don't get damaged if you fail. Failing is just another learning tool. You look at that, why did we get that wrong? Right, let's do this, let's go. Quite simple. So I'm really looking forward to the challenge that Bromley will be. They're fantastic where they are, what they've done, how Andrew's done this. It's incredible, well done, absolutely massively well done. And what we got to do is try and not just match that, but come out on top. And that's what we'll be endeavouring to do.
How much does the kind of physicality, the sort of set-piece battle not rely on, not quite character, but it's just how much of that can come down to just a plain kind of desire, do you think?
Well, It's not. It's also your tactics. I mean, if you look at where Bromley's ball lands, I'd say it's 20 meters, 20 yards further down. Their goalie can kick it absolute country mile. It's quite incredible. So you have to set your defensive up. I watched Arsenal last weekend, and not one centre-half challenge for the first ball. They were much deeper, their midfield challenge for it. So they've given up that risk of, if we lose that header, they're clean in. They've just taken their defence back and letting their midfield go for it. If I tried to do that against Bromley, my back line would be behind the goal because it's quite, so there are ways to do things, but, it's more about what we're going to do when we get it. Football's very simple, right? It's completely simple. First off, you have to stop them scoring. Then you have to win the ball back, and then you have to go and score yourself. And if they haven't got it and you got it, you got to go and score. And if they then win the ball back, you got to then stop them. So it's only a continual. And the clever thing about today, everybody understands, it's just a transition. You're never in defense or in attack. There's a transition period so there's 4 things happening all the time. So what you have to do is be aware of, are we good at all of those transitions? Where are we? What do we need? And try and pick a team that's balanced and well enough to do it. At the minute, if I pick half my squad together, they haven't played together before because we've made so many changes. This is the bit that I want to try and build relationships with. And I will not stick with the same team all the time because that's not right. But there'll be players going in form and out of form as I speak. We've got one who's probably best in the league at the minute in Aaron Drinan. So have they. They got cheek. So they're both on fire. I'd say Gavin Kilkenny's probably never played better in his life, which is unreal. Completely unreal. Brilliant. Let's keep going. So, and luckily for me, there's all sorts of other people I could mention. But for those two, I think it's really important. Glass has been outstanding. So what more do I say? What you have to do is still look at who you're against and try and sort that out first and then come out on top. And if it don't go right, be able to change it. And I know I can change all sorts of things with this group. And they'll keep fighting till the end and they'll keep going. And hopefully they'll get enough belief from that to get rid of last week out of their system because it didn't feel nice. 1 point would have made a huge difference. The other 2 points, if Danny would have scored, where would we be? Everybody be buzzing. But it's not about that. It's about being there at the end. You have to be there at the end. And I believe we'll be challenging the rest of this season with what I've got in that room in there. And I've got to prove that. Only time will tell.
Lovely, good luck.
Obviously, we're talking to some about racking, stacking, because you've got quite a lot of defenders now. Do you feel like that approach is similar in terms of courses for courses, or how do you view that area of the pitch?
Yeah, you got to remember, I inherited a system that they were playing. Do I really like that system? I'm going to embrace it and try and learn it and try and move with it and try and turn it into what I want. So we have that many centre-halves. I've got Ollie Clark who can play centre-half as an attacker. He's unbelievably brave in the air. So I've got all these options, Luckily, losing Harry, he was one of my emergency centre-halves. I don't want to put Ollie Palmer back there now because I don't need to, which is great. Did I see all of these options coming? Probably not, but the way it's worked out, absolutely delighted with it. But I'm still focused on, can we sort that end out and make sure we keep that end going as well as it? We're best in the league at the minute, goals for. So we need to sort this one out. As a group, we took a free kick last week, didn't get the midfield up behind it because we didn't know they were going to do it. We didn't win that challenge. They went long on us, and who am I going to blame? The back lads? Will should have just kicked it out. Or, hang on a minute, what are you doing? We had 3 people who didn't press the ball in that midfield zone. We could have won that back. If we'd have won that back, we'd have scored, not them. So who am I going to blame? But today, I know that tomorrow they're going to be launching it on our head. An awful lot deeper than normal. So I'll have to look in there and see what I think. And I'm glad they're all as tall as they are. Because we're going to need that.
Obviously another week without having a midweek game, so how valuable do you feel like it is to have kind of a 5-day build in to getting across the development you want in the team?
If we win, it's vital, isn't it? If we lose, it gives me another. It's all about the results you get at the end of it, and we need enough wins and enough draws to get promoted, otherwise we failed. And how many times have I said I failed last year? And what a coincidence, Bromley was the game that we failed in. We missed a penalty. Tishmanga against his mate saved it, his mate was celebrating like you wouldn't believe in front of our fans. I remember all of these bits and pieces, so let's try and put that behind us and get on with this game. And I feel the squad's moved forward. Don't know until the end of the season. Would we want to finish where we are right now? No, because we haven't achieved what we want to achieve. So we have to be one of the best 3. So that's the target. And the rest of it will take care of itself. Our fans were singing, we're our top of the league for 2 minutes. Talk about egg on your face. It's ridiculous. But they can do what they want. They pay their money. I would rather celebrate when we definitely are that. I wouldn't be talking about it beforehand. You got to earn that right, and I know how difficult it is to earn that. And sometimes you got to be the luckiest team in the world. But it all comes down to how hard you work for each other and how much you trust each other and how much you respect each other. That's all that matters in there. And that comes out of disappointment of not being picked or disappointment of not winning. That's what it comes from. And that's got to hurt. That's got to burn like a burning red hot coal in the bottom of your boot. And I believe I can see that in there. So they learn to accept my decisions and accept each other's inadequacies and tell each other truthfully about them, and then also tell them how well they did that and how good they are at that, and then all of a sudden we'll have a real group. I'm very proud of them already, but I'm sure I'm going to be really pleased with them by the end of the season. That's all that matters. And there's a hell of a long journey ahead of all of us from where we are now to then. There'll be ups and downs, and there'll be bits and pieces, but what you have to believe in is what you're trying to build.
Lastly, how is James Ball getting along in his recovery at the moment? Is he getting any closer?
He's getting better every day, but he's not close for us yet. So, sick, lame, or lazy. Unfortunately, he's lame. I haven't got time to worry about all of this, have I? Sick, lame, or lazy. And the lazy ones get kicked out. So they're either sick or lame. That's what I can tell our fans. I'm really pleased. The lazy ones who pretend they're injured, we haven't got any of them.
Thank you very much. Is Ryan Tapazoli okay for 90 minutes?
Who knows? Who knows? He hasn't played since pre-season. He's as fit as a flea. Absolute fitness fanatic. So we'll have to see. And do I even use him, or do I put him sub, or who knows? It's not the Tafazoli show, is it? But what's great is the experience, because we've got quite a young back line, and I've got someone who is experienced, and that makes a vital difference. Seriously, I honestly, if you look Tom Wilson-Brown, I'm not sure there's a better centre-half in any academy anywhere, in my opinion. Honestly, with the potential that he's got, the potential of who might be watching him as well. So, but it's all about learning. and gaining confidence and gaining, and he's done so well to play so many games already. So, you know, this is what, and Knight LaBelle, wow. You know, it's all about having the right bits and pieces around the place, but they'll all learn from Will with the ball. Is there a better centre-half with the ball in the lower leagues anywhere? I mean, wow. So, you know, it's all about having the right mix and trying not to lose what you're about. I was pleased with the second half because we passed the ball, past their press, and we pinned them in and we scored a brilliant goal, right? They're quite big, they're quite, you know, so what more could I ask? Everybody's doubting us, you know. They were on a roll and we turned it around like that because we went back to, hang on a minute, let's go and move it, let's pass it. One change, one extra midfield player to help with the numbers in there. And it wasn't, Glass has been outstanding, but it was about where you've put them sometimes. So, there we go. We'll have to wait and see. It's wonderful. Honestly, I hope we get a full crowd and everybody's there and we all enjoy it and we come bouncing back. I don't think they've lost for 9 games, have they? So, what a wonderful challenge.
When you've got a team you've come up against that you've identified such a specific strength, how much of your team selection is about negating that strength, and how much of it is about creating what your team is best at?
That's why everybody's got to know what we do and what we're best at. If you have to, as a manager, if you have to pick your team 90% to stop the opposition, then you're in trouble. And do I know any manager that can concentrate 90-odd% on what they do and only 5 or 6% on their set plays to make sure that you mark? Probably Pep for a few years, but not now. He's looking at what Arsenal did. He changed everything. He says what Arsenal did last week, and if he's got to do that, God help all of us. But what you do, you try and inbuild what you want. So it's a habit. You do it so often that it's a habit, it's a habit, it's a habit. But when I put you next to Joe instead of you next to him, it makes a total difference. Do you get what I'm saying? So those relationships you have to work with and you have to understand. And we've still got too many new ones who haven't played together yet. So, you know, if I could have got all of this together with all the pre-season, it would have been fine. And if you remember pre-season, one half was really good, the other half wasn't. So now I think we're in a better situation. So it's about them learning to do each other, understand what each other's skills are, and then make sure that you just... Last week there was one call. Will went for something that someone else should have gone for. One call. And then you're off of shape. But there was so many other things. So I enjoy that, showing them, building it and saying, hang on. Because you can't blame someone else. You're all part of it. You've all got to be part of that. And that's what I'm looking at. So defending starts up front. And it started with us having a free kick. And our goalie ran up and took it. So there's an awful lot to get into a group to understand. But it's all about getting back down to earth, understanding where you are and what you got to do and the strengths of the opposition. And in this game, the strengths of the opposition, you will see it. And I believe we can match that if I wanted to. And I believe my lot will still be able to get that ball down and pass it. I don't want us hitting Ollie Palmer on the head. And if you've seen any of the games, you can see how good he is around his body, with his touch, with his feet. So's Harry, but we don't ever talk about that, do we? So now we are the full Monty. Can we pass? Can we move? Can we? And there's only ever 3 things that you have to do against your opposition. You either go over them, you either go through them, or you go outside them. So we'll have one of those 3 ways. What they do really well is they go over you so deep, so far, they leave some of their team out the way, and they've pushed so many up there that they get a free kick or a set piece, and then they score from that, and then they won't let you score, which is a good thing to be able to do, isn't it? So, but they've been used to success. Please don't forget that. No matter who they are or where they are, they have earned the right to be there. So well done to their manager. And does it get overlooked? Yeah, of course it does. What a wonderful job he's done. So, what a challenge. Can't wait.
A last one. I was interested in your assessment of how your loanees, your kids that have gone out, different places have gone a couple of months into the season, and what your general assessment is of the game time they're getting, and obviously it's part of how you're trying to develop it, but it's interested to see where you feel it's at.
Yeah, I just feel that's the whole lot of it really is nothing like I would want. Got to be brutally honest. And we got to get promoted. So where's my focus going to be? Honestly, it's a big football situation. Are you going to produce enough players to get to have an academy? And the academy, Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, it's all suited for the bigger and most richest clubs, and it's all designed to get the youngest ones away from us lot because we're not good enough to get them into the team. Apparently, you got to be a cat this, cat that to do it, and I don't see them getting in their first team anywhere. Don't see it, because their managers are going to get the sack at these big clubs if they don't. So it's not working, is it? Tony Pulis did a big thing on it. It's not working. And so where's ours? How long am I going to need at this club to put that right, to turn that around? So I think I'll be better off focusing on what I need to, but there'll be changes. We'll be working towards it. I'll be trying to integrate it into a way, but without a games program, you're completely stuffed. Completely stuffed. Honestly. So that's what I'm looking at long term, to try and change that around. And I believe we'll get it right one day, but it's all about, this club won't go where it needs to go if we don't get promoted. So my focus is totally on that. The academy set up stops at under 18s. There's a big gap. How are we going to fill that gap? So that's for another day. But yes, I am looking at it. Sam? Yes, I am. But it's I'm getting all sorts of phone calls about young people in and around the Wiltshire area who'd love to come to us, which is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Honestly, that's the thing that starts it off, because of the way we're playing and what we're doing. And I think being out there with Jake, some people have, oh, look at that, he's going to give somebody a chance who, all of this will come back to us in the end of the day, I believe. But I'd rather still talk about where we are. And having to sell Botan wasn't what I really wanted to do, but there you go. And part of that, he felt they were a better club for him to be taught at rather than us. So that was another thing that hurt me as an individual, that he thinks that club would be better than us, and me putting him in our first team. But it is what it is sometimes, and I wish him all the very best. He's a wonderful kid. But as a club, we're not where Norwich are, so that still hurts me. Do you know what I mean? I come from Bristol. They have 2 teams, supposedly. And we're Swindon. We've only got 1. And we're big. So come on. Isn't it? That's how I look at it.